people see religion as someone who doesn't subscribe to scientific reality. Like these people are superstitious, well, backdated.
Well, they are, yeah.
And that's exactly my point. But you haven't spoken to a Muslim before, have you?
I have, yeah.
You haven't, I mean, clearly. Driving on a 20-mile zone, more than 20. If you accidentally or deliberately kill someone by speeding, whatever, it gives you a fine, like whether it's life imprisonment, penalty points, whatever. These laws that are codified in the book, could they just simply come by itself, number one? And can they exert the effect in a motorway and a highway by themselves, without a conscious entity, conscious design? So let's start with the highway code. Can this highway code just simply assemble itself and now it's there codified and suddenly now we can have it in a printed form or a digital form? Let's use a scientific paradigm of thinking. Can this code, I mean, I didn't go into DNA yet, forget that, but the highway code as an example. You and I would say it's impossible. So precise this kind of code, it is not possible to attribute randomness, to randomly assemble this kind of, say, alphabets and numbers and symbols together to make this meaningful code and telling you exactly, okay, this is a dual carriageway, you can only go 60 with your car, for example. It's not really intelligent and intelligible to behave and accept that way. Our physical law are more precise in terms of precision of, say, the gravitational constants, the Planck's constants. They're very, very precise, some of them to so many decimal places. Now, so they exist. How do they exist? Just like the highway code is a question that we need to ask. But if I told you as a Muslim, as a believer, as a theist, there is an intelligent designer who designed this code, okay? That's the only rational conclusion I can make. How does this code then exert its effect? Okay? Even if you don't want to think about it, if you have just a book called the highway code, how does this book exert its effect in the pavement, in the motorway? It simply cannot, because it doesn't know that it exists. How can it even exert its effect? So even if the physical laws existed, they cannot do any transformation in our natural world. Because for any transformation, if I were to tell you, we can boil down to 3 fundamental properties. It needs to have to possess by a thing to make any transformation. For example, if I'm going to write a letter to my boss tomorrow, I quit, I have enough, right? What I need to have as a quality, a property, is my self-awareness. I need to be aware to even make that letter. If I were dead or totally unconscious, I won't be able to write the letter. I need to have this awareness. Suppose I had this awareness, but I don't will to write this letter because I love my job. And I don't intend to do it at all. This letter will never be written. So we need what we call intentionality. The willingness, the will to do for transformation. The will to record, otherwise it's not going to record. Yeah? The will to speak, otherwise I won't be speaking. I'll be like this brother is, look, closed. Because he's not willing to speak. But suppose I had the self-awareness, I had the intention, but my brothers tied me all, tape, blindfolded, I can't speak, I can't shout, I can't move my eye with an artificial intelligence to speak. I'm incapacitated. Would I be able to write this letter? Even on a computer typewriter, I won't be able to. So I need at least three essential qualities for any transformation to take place. You can extend that example to anything in the natural world. So these physical laws to make any transformation, have the universe is expanding, for example, with all this red shift, right? It needs to be self-aware. It needs to intend to do it. It needs to have the ability to do it. What is that thing? So that's why we say the thing that does it is the transformer. I didn't even say the word God, right? It's a transformer. The transformer with the ability and the willingness and the self-awareness. So that's the originator of our universe, which has done it. You see how even scientific way of thinking with reason and critical thinking has arrived us to a point where there is this agency that has done this transformation. I didn't quote a verse from the Bible or the Quran. The Quran is the book that we believe in. I didn't quote a statement from our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's known as hadith. So the Quran and the hadith is the source of our belief system. I didn't quote any of that. I just used the same language that we are familiar with in science, and we seem to have an understanding now, okay, now you are thinking, does it make sense or not? What I just said. You're trying to internally process this. What I said, my name is Mansur, Nick, has Mansur made some sense or not? If it does make a sense, what it does, it creates what we call a cognitive dissonance. You know what that is?
Cognitive what, sorry?
Cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now, because you have a certain sort of firm belief and ideology, that's how you live your life. It's now conflicting with your set of those beliefs. You are now in confrontation of it. How do you handle this? How do you process this? Because you have to come with the grasp of that, because it makes sense, but yet I don't believe in it. Does that mean my belief needs to be now re-questioned? Like, actually, was my thinking right to begin with? Because this guy, Mansur, is making sense. A little bit, maybe, if not all, right? So when we go through this process, what we call is you're processing in critical thinking. When you do critical thinking, that's the whole basis should be of science, right? Now, how do we appraise our papers in the journals? It has to be critical thinking. We realize science is not an obstacle in any way, shape or form to accept and know that there is a creator. To accept, not to believe, to accept by knowledge. But what prevents us is what we call dogmas. Science is a dogmatic system. Yeah? It doesn't want people to believe or accept in this because it has a history. Do you remember Galileo? Do you remember the papism, the Pope, and what they did to Europe, and how they suppressed or tried to suppress science, and how the scientific community that was arising, they woke up, they resisted, and then they contributed and saying, we don't need God anymore, because now we can, as you started, we can explain the wonders of this world by not invoking a God to it. We know how thunder works. We know how rain falls. There is no God of thunder and Thor. Yeah. So when they came up with this, there was this conflict between the church and so on, and the church tried to stop. Yeah. The church. It's normal. It's not a. Maybe some people are doing something over there. The church tried to suppress this kind of specific free inquiry about nature. And when Galileo came up with this helical model of the planets and so on and so forth, and that seemed to go against a geocentrism. The Earth is the center of everything, but actually it's not. The sun seems to be the center around our, solar system. That was a clash and a conflict. So what the community did, scientific community, they broke away from the church in a way, and they became very vocal. Karl Marx wrote his, what was it called?
Capital?
Das Kapital or something. Same again, later on, The Origin of the Species by our friend, what's his name? Charles Darwin from England, right? They came together, they synthesized a narrative. Now you can explain the natural world can actually evolve. Life form can evolve naturally from natural mechanism. And the mechanism, they started saying, okay, we propose the mechanism, survival for the fittest. This is one. Now things have moved from neo-Darwinism to Darwinism to neo-Darwin and others. That's what happened. And that's why science became very dogmatic. They're not happy with us publishing a paper in Nature or in Cell, which has any reference to God or religion in that sense when we're discussing science. It would not go through the peer review process. Some of the papers that somehow went through, they were retracted. Yeah. So the point I'm making is this: the scientists today, they wouldn't allow this kind of publications in a peer-reviewed journal because it's very dogmatic. That is why many scientists who are not atheists, like many Christian scientists, for example, they have formed this alliance around the world saying, we are scientists in our profession. Look, we have 2 PhDs, for example. Under my arms is 200 articles and peer-reviewed articles, and I reject this paradigm. And I am a scientist, and I believe in God. So they have this kind of...
What does the God add to the scientific? What does it add? It doesn't add anything.
When it comes to religious questions about religion, right? People see religion as someone who doesn't subscribe to scientific reality. Like these people are superstitious. Well, backdated.
Well, they are, yeah.
And that's exactly my point. But you haven't spoken to a Muslim before, have you?
I have, yeah.
You haven't, I mean, clearly. Because if you had, then we can demonstrate to you that, for example, our belief in Islam gave you the scientific methodology, which you didn't know. When Europe was in the Dark Ages, in the Islamic Spain, we had underground switch system, overground lighting system. We were naming stars. That's how far we were in advance in science, because we knew science and religion are two twin sisters. This is the outlook difference between another religion, which can have that kind of view that you're saying, compared to Islam, right? But you didn't know that.
I did know. Yeah.
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Sorry, Mansur, I have
Nick,
to go.
pleasure speaking to you. Walk around, see the dynamics, and think about what we just said, because I only give you a taster about God and Islam, briefly. Look into further and ask yourself, why are you not a Muslim? Because a Muslim is someone who accepts this reality and is grateful to this God. Okay? Take care. Take care.